Hello, my name is Darren Thomas and I am the Director of Educational Research Techniques. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at factoring trinomials, particularly in the format of x squared plus bx plus c. So let's begin. Now, in order to have success with this, you have to understand, how to factor, which is something we've covered in prior videos. Now, the secret to success with this is to understand that when you find your two-factor terms, which we're going to talk about in a second, they must follow this format right here. It should be b plus c equals, whatever your term is, and b times c should equal your constant. So this should be your second term. I guess I'll put a second term here, and this should be the third term. Now let me go ahead and make an example for you and see if I can make this clear for you. So my first example is going to be x squared plus 11x plus 24. Now, when I make my factor terms, and I'm going to put my x inside my parentheses like this, when I make my factor terms, when I have my two set of terms in my two parentheses completed here, when I add these terms together, they're going to equal 11 in this case, because this is my second term. And when I multiply them, they're going to equal 24, because that's my third term, the third, with the constant. So to do this, you have to just make, a simple chart here. So if I do 1 and 24, so of course when I multiply this, it's always going to equal 24. So I'm going to skip that. I'm not going to deal with that a lot. But what happens when I do 1 plus 24? I'll get 25, like so. So you can see here that this doesn't work. Well, what about 2 and 12? Again, 2 times 12 is 24. I always satisfy this one right here. But what is 2 plus 12? That's going to be 14. That's not 11, not quite. Okay, what about 3 and 8? So if I do 3 times 8, of course it's 24. But what about 3 plus 8? I get 11. So you can see here that this is my term. My constant here is going to be x plus 3, x plus 8. Now why is it plus? Because all I have are plus signs in my original trinomial, so it's very clear and simple. Now in case you're curious, does this really work? Well, let's take a look at it. X times x is going to be x squared. Then I have a 3x because I do 3 times x. Then I have an 8x because I do 8 times x here. And then I do 3 times 8, which is going to be 24. And again, if I combine like terms right here, I get x squared plus 11x plus 24, which is just like the original trinomial that we have. Very, very simple. Not that complicated. Let's do a second one. This one's a little bit trickier, but not that bad. So we got q squared plus 10q, and then we have minus 24 this time. So remember what it is. Whatever we get when we try to find the two numbers for our parentheses is going to be whatever b plus c is going to be equal to 11, and then 10, and then b times c is going to equal 24. All right, so let's see what we can do here. So we'll go to the same ones. 1 and 24. Well, that'll give me 25. That's not quite what I want. And of course, 1 times 24 is going to be positive 24. So we don't quite want that. So this is going to be positive 24. Okay, so I know it has to be negative. That means one of my numbers of my two future factors here needs to be a negative number. So I know that it can't be anything with the 24 because it's not going to work. It's going to be 25 or something. So how about 2 and 12? We'll do negative 2 and maybe positive 12. Let's see if that works. So negative 2 plus 12 is going to give me positive 10. And then negative 2 times 12 is going to give me negative 24. That was quick and easy. And so we now know what our two terms are. So I'm going to put my q here and my q here, and the terms are going to be minus 2, and the other term is going to be plus 12. Oops, excuse me, plus 12. And again, you can see this q times q is q squared, negative 2, negative, so let me just do this so I don't want to confuse anybody. So real quick, we'll have q squared, and then we'll have minus 2q plus 12q, and then of course, negative 2 times 12 is going to give us minus 24, just like the original. You combine your like terms. We've already talked about this. Combine our like terms right here. And we end up with q squared plus 10q minus 24. That's how it works. So again, you can see the value, the powerful value of this little cheat sheet up here at the top. Whatever two terms you have, when you add them together, they should equal the constant in front of the second term. And when you multiply them, it should equal the product, or the product should equal the last term. Let's do one more, a little bit trickier. Now, for this one, we're looking at the following. We're looking at t squared minus 2t minus 24. Again, when I add my two factors terms, it's going to equal minus 2. And when I multiply whatever my two factor terms are, it's going to equal to negative 24. So let's see here. I already know from experience that 1 and 24 is not working. So I'm going to skip that one. And so why don't we start with 2 and 12. So I start with 2 and then I go with 12. Let's see here. So 2 plus 12 is going to be 14. Okay, I need to put an equal sign here, sorry. And 2 times 12 is going to be 24. This does not work. So what if I do a negative sign here? How about 2 and negative 12? So this will give me negative 10 when I add them together, the sum, and this will give me negative 24. So the second thing is satisfied, but I need a negative 2 for the top one. So let's see here. How about 3 and negative 8? Is that possible? Will that work? So negative 8 plus 3 is going to give me negative 5. Still not working here, but I still got the negative 24 when I multiply them. Okay, how about 4 and negative 6? So negative 6 plus 4 is going to still be negative 2. All right, that's good. And 4 times negative 6 is going to be negative 24. So we now have our two factors here, two terms. So I make my little parentheses here like so, and I put t plus 4 because it's a positive 4, and t minus 6. And you can work out all the steps for this on your own time, but you can see that this works. Now, so we have a better idea of how to deal with factoring trinomials from this video. So in this video, we looked at how to factor trinomials. To deal with this, you want to factor what we call here, the constant. You want to break this down, and your goal is very, very simple. Whatever the two factors are that you break it down to, when you add them together, the sum will equal the constant in front of the second term, or the second term. What I mean by the constant in front of the variable that's not the second term. And when you multiply whatever your factors are, they should equal. The product should equal the sum, or the product of those two numbers should equal the value of the third term, or what we like to say, the term that doesn't have a variable in front of it in the particular thing. Now, when I say this, I have to be careful because here, we're raised to the second power, first power, and then basically no power here. That's kind of what's happening. So second degree, first degree, and I guess 0 degree if you want to look at it like that. And so that's kind of how it works out when you're trying to figure this out. So I hope this video was useful for you and that you're able to understand how to address dealing with factoring trinomials now. My name is Darren Thomas. I am the Director of Educational Research Techniques. Take care.